And welcome everyone to Films with Women in My Life. My name is Brennan, and joining me tonight is Mama Kay.
Hey everybody.
And tonight we are returning to Wes Andersonville for Asteroid City. Last time we visited, it wasn't our favorite visit. We both like the majority of his films, but what was it? Not Great Dispatch. French Dispatch.
French Dispatch. Last.
Yeah, and I was actually looking through my rankings the other day of like all Wes Anderson stuff, and I'd put that, second to last, probably only ahead of Rushmore because I hate Rushmore so much. But yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then you're like, okay, this needs to be really good to get back into the Wes Anderson.
I really was. I was looking at like the trajectory because I was basically I went through the years. Bottle Rocket, good, solid. Rushmore, hate it. And then Tenenbaums, Life Aquatic, Darjeeling, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Moonrise are all in a row. And other than Fantastic Mr. Fox, because I'm not really, his stop motion ones are kind of okay for me. Those are like his core movies for me. Like I love all those, and Moonrise is my favorite, so it culminates up there. Then we get Grand Budapest, which I still like. I know that's a lot of people's favorites. It is like the most ambitious feeling, I think. And it's good. And then Isle of Dogs is okay. And then French Dispatch, a little worse. So this was kind of like, it's either you're either going to hit it or you're strike three, you're out kind of thing. I was getting worried. I've lost faith in MCU. I'm losing faith in my boys at Pixar. So I need someone to turn it around for me. I need someone to hang on to. Guy Ritchie's been hanging on for me. He's been making constant good stuff. So thank God for him. So let's see if Wes made it back into the good graces. World-changing events spectacularly disrupt the itinerary of a junior stargazer space cadet convention in an American desert town circa 1955. This has a 7.1 on IMDb, 74 critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 61 audience. For Wes Anderson, numbers are on the lower side, concerning. Yeah. But before we get into spoilery stuff, this is in theaters now. Did you have any expectations going in? Were you like me, kind of trepidatious, or were you ready to give him another chance?
I think I'm always going to be ready to give him another chance, just because
he's earned it.
Just because he does things differently, and I appreciate that.
Differently from others, but only the same to himself.
Yeah, for him it's the same, but for differently than other filmmakers.
Yes, no one does it quite like him, but he only does himself. So yeah.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, I already did that part, theaters. So yeah, we're going to spoil it here now. So I said that little synopsis where it's world-changing events spectacularly disrupt the itinerary of his junior stargazer space cadet convention in the American desert town circa 1955. That is true. That is the core of the film. But around that is a other storytelling device. This whole thing is a play. And so during the play, which is that synopsis I just read, they are also having cut-ins with the writer, director, the star, who's the Jason Schwartzman character. He's kind of the lead of this ensemble. And Bryan Cranston's like a narrator kind of guy. And they show some of the other actors offset, and that's part of the movie. And then they'll cut it back and forth throughout basically the making of the play and the behind the scenes of the play and the play itself. Kind of not unlike Grand Budapest, where that's like a story within a story within a story, except in that we pretty much always stay with like M. Gustav's story, and we don't really cut back very often. Whereas this one, we're moderately frequently cutting between the play part stuff and the play stuff. This has a billion characters. This has it's got all the actors he's ever worked with, and then some, minus the Wilsons. I don't know where they are. I guess they were busy, and Bill Murray. I guess
and Bill Murray.
Couple of Tom Hanks is playing the Bill Murray role in this one. And so, yeah, you got, I don't even need to read through the cast. They'll come up as we go. The whole crux of this thing, Stargazer event, a thing happens that makes everything kind of go weird and haywire. And then the rest of the movie is kind of dealing with that fallout. And again, we're just cutting back and forth, looking at the parallels between the actual making of the thing. It sounds kind of confusing, and there's actually a line in it about this whole thing that I actually really like that kind of sums up my feelings on the whole thing. But Mama Kay, what do you think of Asteroid City?
Yeah, so this is a little different. It is, I mean, unmistakably Wes Anderson. But like you said,
Yes.
because we're doing a couple of different things within just, it's not just the telling of the story, which the story is basic, so basic that I think that it would be a 40-minute movie if that's all we were going to do. So, I don't know if that's what happened when they were writing this movie, is that they decided that they needed to do something else to flesh it out, and then that's why we have this whole movie within a movie that's not really a movie, it's a play.
Sorry to stop you right there. Well, all that thought, that's what I thought about French Dispatch, is he had 3-4 shorts that he couldn't flesh out, so he smashed them together. And this one, I didn't have quite that same feeling, but I can see that, like, a shorter story getting fleshed out by padding of this other device.
Right. By using the device of we're going back and forth between the playwright and the play, and then the actual movie quote of the play, it makes a movie. I don't feel it was as disjointed as French Dispatch. I think the devices pretty much worked, and because the story is and the storytelling of it is pretty dry, I looked forward to the times that we were going back and forth between the different scenarios. Otherwise I think it would have been visually stunning like usual, well acted, but pretty basic. I mean, and also there's an alien. I mean, we got to throw that in. So, yeah, I don't know that it's not, it hasn't, I don't know that it hit exactly where I wanted it to go, that I feel like I needed a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know whether I felt like the effort wasn't there. Everything was done well. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like there was just something missing from it for me. Maybe you can help me out with that.
Maybe. This is for me, this is an improvement on the last two. So I was happy enough that I like this more than Isle, and I like this more than French. So this is closer to Grand Budapest level of my enjoyment. It's not to the tier, and maybe he'll never get back to that level where it's. I was trying to find a common thread between those movies. I think those are his like most angsty and mean-spirited movies, because like he's very whimsical and like, but his characters are also like exceptionally prickly, and I think that's the height of prickle is Tenenbaums, Steve Zissou, the Darjeeling Limited brothers. You know, those are all like horrible prick people, whereas these ones are, I mean, there's plenty of prickly characters in here, but they're a little less arch, maybe. Like, they're a little more just kind of sad. It's very sad, misanthropic people. Yeah, but
all still very self-centered, and, you know, every character is like that. Like, every character is just really...
Yes.
...about themselves. So,
and maybe that helped me actually...
kind of a telling thing.
Well, that actually might have helped me get back a little bit more to my liking of it. Maybe that is what I like when the characters are so about themselves.
You do like that.
It's their snippy dialogue back and forth to each other, where like it's almost like they're having a conversation with each other, but like it's really just like I wish I could just talk to me all day, but like I have to talk to you, so whatever. I get that feeling with all these people. Like
I think you're right. Yeah, and luckily the times when they're quote talking to themselves, there's enough of a thread between them and the person that they're quote talking to that it can actually be a conversation. But in all honesty, they're just really spewing a diatribe of their own.
Yeah, no, yeah, everyone's, and a lot of people, like a lot of his characters, so many of them have like their takes, and like they all kind of have this figured out the world attitude while also being horribly lost. And let's go through the roster, and we can kind of pick out standouts and maybe people that didn't work. Jason Schwartzman's the main guy. He's Augie Steinbeck. He's war photographer. And then you got Scarlett Johansson's an actress. Tom Hanks is the father of the dead wife of Jason Schwartzman. Jeffrey Wright's the general. Tilda Swinton's the doctor. Bryan Cranston's the host. Edward Norton and Adrian Brody are the playwright and director on The Outside World. And then there's a whole cavalcade of, like, the Stargazers and their families. That's got Liev Schreiber, Hope Davis, Stephen Park, Rupert Friend. Who else is in there? A lot of the kids' characters.
Yeah, all the kids.
Yeah, and then some other, like... Cowboy, yep. There's Cowboy. There's that's Rupert Friend's character, Maya Hawke, his love interest, the school teacher. Motel manager Steve Carell. Interesting choice. I haven't seen Steve in a Wes Anderson movie. I thought a good fit. We'll see. Matt Dillon is Hank the mechanic. Hong Chow and Willem Dafoe and Margot Robbie are all on The Outside World as wife, acting teacher, and other actress. Respectively, a couple other cameo kind of level people. Tony Revolori, who does he was Zero in Grand Budapest. Sophia Lillis from the It movies. Jeff Goldblum as the alien, briefly.
Who would ever know that?
Oh, you get the little cameo he gets his offstage cameo where he's describing his character of the alien, which is in line with everyone else. Fisher Stevens, recognized from Succession, the thin-necked guy who's Kendall's bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a lot of people in here. Who stood out? Who didn't work?
I am not the biggest fan of Jason Schwartzman. I'm
mixed.
Kind of glad. I'm kind of glad that he just does this. It seems like, and doesn't really appear in a whole lot of other things, because that would bother me. But I thought he was really super suitable for the character that he played here. I kind of feel like that's him in real life. I don't know anything about this man, but that's how he seems to me. There were some times he was the most interesting, I thought, because his character kind of wound its way into the different things that he was doing by taking off his facial hair. So you knew when he was actually in the film part of the movie and not in the, in offset from the stage. And, his character was very singular. He's got these 4 kids. The one who's the space camp, the boy that's the space camp, highlight, and then he's got these 3 little daughters, and he just lost his wife, and he can't seem to cope because he's a war photographer, right? So he's been doing World War II stuff and whatever else is going on at that point. And it's no wonder that he can't cope with trying to raise these kids. And it's not like he's trying to in this movie. That, don't get me wrong. There's very little interaction in a parent way between these people. So
he's not particularly paternal. People. No.
Yeah, the kids all exist in their own world, just like the parents all exist in their own world. But
there's a great, one of very, very super Wes Anderson-y line where he's doing one of the back and forths with Scarlett Johansson. I think he says, "Are you married? I'm widowed, but don't tell my kids."
Yeah, don't tell my kids, because he's although he is carrying around an urn that has his dead wife in it, so that he puts at some point into a Tupperware container, which is a little unnerving. But I think that he's perfectly suitable for that. Scarlett Johansson, the same. I don't know that anybody is super miscast in this. Do you? I enjoyed Bryan Cranston's character as the narrator.
Yeah.
He had some times where he was, it's so well written and so tightly written, but it's the things that he does that he's supposed to be like making a mistake or whatever are just perfectly timed. The comedic timing of him particularly was really enjoyable to watch. Who did you have as a standout? I was going to say similar about Jason Schwartzman. I'm mixed on him as an actor, and I pretty much like him when he's in Wes Anderson things. Like Darjeeling, that's one of my favorite roles for him, where he's like the younger brother. But like I've seen him in a bunch of indie movies where like I just hate him so much in them. I'm just, But when he's with Wes and I think one of the Coppolas writes with him. So there you go. You get like a nice
I still don't know how there's no Nick Cage action in any of these movies. He would be a weird fit, but like, come on, there's all the other Coppolas are cycling through the Wes Anderson world. So
why couldn't he have been the alien in this one? I mean, Jeff Goldblum's
because Jeff Goldblum was the alien. I mean,
yeah, I know he's a good alien, but
if you say the only better, because I'm such a big Nick Cage fan, the only better alien is probably Jeff Goldblum. So I'm not going to complain about that one. But I think most people were a couple like more side characters. Like Liev Schreiber, I like that he's grown into like grizzled old grumpy man. Like I remember him as like kind of like, I don't know, like a hot shotty kind of guy in like the 90s.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him in this. I had no idea that was him, honestly.
I love his contentious relationship with his son who keeps doing dares. Like, it's such a stupid throwaway bit, but he's so angry and committed, and the kid is so perfectly irritating that it's perfect. It's always a bright spot. It's a bit that works for me, because that's what a lot of this is. It's like, you got 30 characters. Everyone gets, 10 minutes unless you're Scarlett Johansson or Jason Schwartzman, so you better...
Even Scarlett Johansson, I think, is underused in this. I feel like she's a little...
I think she's a just about right use. I don't know how much more you could use her without her being a co-lead, and
right.
I thought the point was it was his thing, because what is this ultimately, a grief trauma movie, everyone's dealing with a loss, and then they all have this shared trauma of the alien showing up. Maybe we talked around it. Jeff Goldblum's the alien, and in classic Wes Anderson fashion, when an alien shows up, it's a little paper mache thing, and it slowly goes down. Everyone just stares at it with a blank look on their face, and then the alien slowly grabs an asteroid and leaves without saying a word. Like, as you would expect. And then
and then comes back and replaces the asteroid without saying a word.
It's been inventoried. Like, right. Nice and simple. All that's like, all was this, the whole movie's asteroid fell there, and then the alien came and got it, and he inventoried it, and then really that's all that actually happened in the movie. Everything else is just people doing stuff around that, and then and then you have to remember all of this is like, even in this world is fake, because this is all a play by the Edward Norton, Adrian Brody. Like, I like some of that stuff in concept, but like, I don't know if the surrounding stuff added for me. At the same time, like, I like the Bryan Cranston bit too. Like, he's probably the best of the out-of-world characters. Although Willem Dafoe's couple of minutes is pretty good as the acting teacher guy. Like, I like that.
The part when there was a part where there was like that's what it was. It was an acting class. Is that what was going on? Where there was all... I
don't know if it was a class or if it was like, I'm getting these people together for the thing and like I'm going to pick people out of it, or I don't really know exactly what that's. But they do some stuff in there where and then at some points people will stand up one by one and they say like they do like a "No Captain, My Captain" thing. I don't remember exactly what was going on there.
Yeah,
they do some stuff like that. They go kind of abstract, or that's more pushing abstract than I'm used to for Wes Anderson, because he usually. He's whimsical in his weird little sets and stuff, but it is kind of grounded, whereas like this one kind of pushed a little on that.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's because it had to do with what is actually like the storyline of this being a town built around the fact that an asteroid, fell there, and now they're gonna give some kid a $10,000 check for being the future scientist of the year. It's just such a thin storyline to hang it all on. So
yeah, there's not much to hang it on. It's mostly like, that's what's weird about it, is that it's just a premise, but like it is very carefully constructed. Like all the hand burning joke, and Scarlett Johansson leaves, tries saying the line after scene 5. Like it's such a carefully written script for such an underdeveloped story. That's uncommon. I can't really even think of another example where like this is so much work to do so little, it almost feels like. And then you got 30 people, running around. Like it's a lot of work to not tell a lot. I mean, the thing is, I'm enjoying all of it. I'm laughing more at this than I did at French Dispatch. I'm smiling more. I'm in the audience in pretty full theater, and the majority of them are Wes Anderson laughing, which is not uproarious, but it's like observed laughter kind of thing.
Yes.
And it's working. Like, it's all
chuckles.
working.
Yeah.
So like, I'm still leaving people out. I like Jeffrey Wright. I always welcome to see. This is big improvement, huge improvement on his dud of a character in the last one. Like, this is such a a return to form. He just gets the letter from the president, crumples it up. He's pissed. Like after all the different time, everything else has been so meticulous and so perfectly read and orchestrated. Number 1, number 2, number 3. He's pissed, and he crumples it up and throws it. It's perfect. It's such good. It's so good. And then, really, almost everyone. Like I was gonna say, Steve Carell. I love his little selling land out of a vending machine. I like Mihawk and Rupert Friends. Like, oh, bastas, kind of like little cute relationship thing. The only one who I have not mentioned that's kind of big in here that I'm like, I don't know
Tom
about
Hanks.
this. That's right. Why is Tom Hanks that guy? Because Bill Murray didn't want to show up? Is he in trouble? Did he do something? Why is Tom Hanks that guy?
Bill Murray had COVID.
Did he?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Why can't it be any other beloved 70-year-old actor? Because this is Tom Hanks and this was weird. It was not the right... It wasn't the right fit.
It felt weird. It felt like Colonel Sanders came to town. You know what I mean?
It felt like David S. Pumpkins. It felt like an SNL sketch. I like it.
A little bit.
Everyone else blends in with Wes Anderson's weird paper mache worlds. Tom Hanks sticks out like, I am an actor on a set. Like, he just doesn't. Yeah. He does not blend.
It's almost because he's too big. And I feel like Wes Anderson accentuated that. Like, we see the Tom Hanks character. He's the father-in-law to Jason Schwartzman and the grandparent to these kids, and we see him in his own surroundings. Like, so he's in his house. It's like this, mid-century modern house because we're talking about 1955. But he looks gigantic, and that has to be on purpose. Like, why?
I think to contrast tiny Jason
so
Schwartzman.
Big? Because he is like trying to come in and take care of things, and Jason Schwartzman does not want anything to do with that except for somebody has to take care of these kids, right? But no one's really going to do it because it's a Wes Anderson movie. But he is very. I mean, it's deliberate. I agree that it doesn't really fit everybody else because he's just not the type. He's not that character type at all.
No, he's not. If you need someone to fill in for Bill Murray because he can't be here, this was not the right other beloved 7-year-old actor. Like, who's a better that guy? Let's see. And he's got to be. Let's see.
He's got to be more character-y actor than and that's part of the thing too. Is that. Tom
couldn't
Hanks
you plug in? Couldn't you have? I know we love Bryan Cranston as the guy. Couldn't we have plugged him in as the dad and then plugged in a Wilson as the host? Just pick a Wilson.
No, Bryan Cranston's perfect as that though. You don't want to mess that up.
I know.
Like,
I'm trying to. It can't be Jeff. I'm just trying to think his stable. It can't be Jeff. Who else could it be?
No, I don't know that there. I think he has, it's because he had to go outside and get somebody. I mean, Tom Hanks is he's
what about a smaller name, like a Stephen Root or a Richard Ryle, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know that. Maybe Stephen Root. That might have been a good pick. That might have been
because he could still be. Remember him from Grounded for Life, where he's the dad who hates Donald Logue. What if he was just that guy? That could work.
Yeah, he could be.
He's famous enough now where like everyone would be like, maybe people don't know Stephen Root by name, but like you see Stephen Root, you're like, I've seen that guy in everything from the last 20 years.
Just like Fisher Stevens by that too, because he's been in a ton of stuff. So
I think I suppose because I don't know if I would have recognized Fisher Stevens pre-Succession. I would have been like, oh, it's that guy.
I know him from like way back. He's been in everything.
What's your Fisher Stevens role? Because all of these people, I was thinking about it. I have my role for them in their head. Like especially guys like Fisher Stevens, where it's like, oh, he's that guy. Who is he for you?
Well, I mean, he is the guy from Succession because he always plays that guy in every role that he does. So,
that smarmy second-hand man.
Yeah, he's sort of like a popular Tracy Walter. That's what it comes to me. Like that's when I see him, that's what I think of. So yeah,
he's in Californication in one episode as like an eccentric billionaire who accidentally kills himself by autoerotic asphyxiation while he's hanging out with Hank and gang. So like they find him and they're like, oh fuck, we have to like cover it up. Like that's the episode, and that's what I always think of him in, is that guy. And I remember thinking like, his neck is so unnaturally thin. What the fuck is happening there? It's so long and thin. He's like those things from Attack of the Clones. Like it's so
he's
strange.
He's like a Fisher cat. He reminds me of a Fisher cat. He's got the perfect
He's a Fisher
name.
Stevens.
Fisher Stevens. Yeah, it's perfect. I don't know. That Tom Hanks thing didn't really bother me. I mean, it did take me out a little bit just because honestly I thought of him as Colonel Sanders or something. It's probably the mustache that did that for me. But it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't bad enough that I didn't enjoy.
No, he's still in scenes. Like, when it's him and Jason Schwartzman in the phone booth towards the beginning, that's one of the first, like, oh, here he is doing his style. And I'm liking this. He does his classic whip pans and his slow dollies, and everything's very in the center of the shot. Like, all of the stuff you would expect is here, and it's all, for me, it's all clicking, and that's all nice. We haven't talked about the kids.
The train. I love the Roadrunner. I mean, the thing about this movie that we haven't really talked about is how it's basically, it looks like a set. Like, wherever it was filmed, it doesn't matter because you can tell it's a set, and that helps with the play aspect of it. But it's a really good set. Like, it's really well done. And there's a point where there's a police chase that goes on.
There's a couple times.
And that's a couple times. But that's like, that's him saying like, this is a real place. This is semblance of normal, because when they're quarantined and when they're in between alien visits, things aren't normal like that. Things are a little bit off. So, I like that. I like how everything, and this is my favorite part of his movies, like how the music and how the art direction and everything just sort of takes me to a place that is perfectly imperfect. There's no way this place exists, but I love this and I could see myself living there. Like, I am not the kind of person who would inhabit that place in a Wes Anderson movie, but it's just so appealing to me because just like the dialogue, it's so well done that you overlook the fact that there's really not a whole lot there. So it sounds like we are agreeing then this is an improvement on the last one. So maybe I liked Isle of Dogs, so I think this is probably better though than Isle of Dogs, but it's way better than French Dispatch. I need to watch it again to find out what it was that I really disliked. So
I had similar. I guess I had similar, like, I don't know, like Isle of Dogs I guess was just kind of flat for me. I know people love Fantastic Mr. Fox too, like and I like other types of animation stuff. I'm always trying to bring that up, and you'd think it would fit so well because he does it all the time in his other movies. Like I think of the Grand Budapest little trolley up the side of the hill, like as one that's one of the ones that sticks in my mind all the time. But for some reason, when the whole thing is like that, I don't like it anymore. I recognize it and I'm fine with it, but like I just can't get over the hump and like recognize it as the ones that I really like. It's more just like, this is nice, this is cute. It's not. It's never going to be more than 3.5 stars for me.
No, but that might just be the thing. Is like you like that kind of stuff as the piece, like the Roadrunner in this. Awesome. And you finish on the Roadrunner. I mean, I'm okay with that. I thought that was fun. That's this movie is. It sounds like it should be like kind of a downer if you tell somebody what it's about people being quarantined.
Oh, it's not a downer.
Alien
at all.
No, but say the plot. People have to be quarantined after an alien visit. That sounds terrible. And people kind of treat it like the two main characters treat it like it's terrible. We didn't talk about Tilda Swinton. All of a sudden, that just came up in my brain.
Yeah, true. Speaking of aliens and people who are in a lot of these movies.
Yeah,
she could have been an alien.
She could have been the alien, yeah.
You actually could have... that would have been a funny bit if they had Tilda Swinton and Jeff Goldblum constantly switching roles, but because due to scheduling conflicts, the actor they're playing is going... for some of the scenes...
That's too meta.
For scenes 3, 8, 17, 42, and 93, actor... because he does that kind of stuff where it's like, this was filmed on Dolby Cinema sound. I like all that. I think... That's maybe it's too much, but like I kind of both consider them both very alien type actors because they're so specific.
Right. They're definitely one of a kind. Having Bryan Cranston announce something like that, that might have been funny. I mean, give him a shout and say, like, I don't know, I think we could improve upon this.
I mean, I already gave notes on several other movies we've been doing here, and they're already out. What's I think? And I did it the other day on a thing too. I was talking about we were talking about No Hard Feelings, that Jennifer Lawrence movie, which by the way is very good. I thoroughly enjoyed. So now I have a new big broad comedy to point to when I get accused of being a snob. I say no hard feelings, excellent. But my thing about that was like there was a 10-minute sequence in there that didn't quite work for us, and we did our little what if we did this and this and workshopped it, and we made it shorter, cheaper, and funnier. And I was like, why didn't they just do that? And then I was like, well, because it's fucking hard. Like you're making it, and then you see it not working in the middle of it, and you're like, oh, can we actually change this? Like, how much hours left in the day? This fucking person's got a scheduling thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, we get hard on things, but then I think, like, you have 2 weeks to film this. Like, even the best filmmakers are on tight schedules and budgets, and everyone's busy, and, you know.
Right. And you're hoping, and the way you're filming things, you're hoping that it comes out in the editing process to be the piece that you want it to be. You know what I mean? So, especially when it's something like this, where it's so big and like everyone's worked with everyone's experienced. So now it's almost like a little bit of a playground. Is what it kind of feels like. Because like we said, simple story, but it's so like crafted and woven that's the satisfying. Yeah. Thing. And every little thing, every little piece is, you know, important. It might be super meta to somebody who's a Wes Anderson fan. You know, I think there's things for people to like. I don't know that. I mean, I did see this by myself because I was like, I don't think you're gonna enjoy this, to Dad. I was like, I don't think this is gonna be your thing.
No, it's not his style.
No, but everybody it was a pretty full theater, and everybody there seemed to enjoy it. So I think that I think maybe part of the audience score is that it's not his best movie, but it's definitely something that if you're a fan, is, you know, completely watchable and enjoyable.
That's what I would say is like, this is like for me a bit of a return to form. Like, this isn't his best, but like if you didn't like the last couple or it's been a decline, I would say this is an upward tick. Like, this is an improvement of the last two, in my opinion. And I think so, you know, as much as everyone loves Budapest, this is pretty close to Budapest. Like they're kind of neck and neck quality wise.
Yeah, no, Budapest is way above this.
What's your ranking? Is Budapest your favorite?
Budapest is my favorite. By far. I really like Darjeeling Unlimited too. So
yeah,
what is it about Budapest? I don't.
Yeah, what is it?
I think it's because it's the first one of his that I saw that was in the style that it is, and it really caught me off guard. I mean, I like when something's different. I like when, you know, it's not. There are times when you want to. For me, I know you don't ever experience this. That you want to watch a formulaic movie because you just want to. You just want to have some entertainment. You just kind of want your brain to go dead or whatever. But the best stuff is always stuff that is different. We have watched some different movies this year already that are not good. I'm not saying that different is always good, but different. Do you know which one I'm referring to?
I don't actually.
Oh, okay.
Give me a hint. Don't say it, but give me a hint.
LA, a lot of like diffused light, being inside, might be alien, might be two dudes. I'm giving you way too many hints.
Yeah, and I can't get it, so this was a bad idea. I don't know what that is.
But when somebody does something like this and it's an art and they're an artiste and they, you know, make the effort to have music and art direction and things like that, and have a really tight script and have really great people doing the work, I have to be drawn to it.
Yeah, this is I think I've said this in the last one too. I like when people give a shit. Like, I like when I can tell people give a shit. This is a little different because I expect, and I go in with expectations. I said this on No Hard Feelings. Like, I'm comparing that against other big dumb broad comedies. I'm comparing this. I pretty much only compare Wes Anderson movies to other Wes Anderson movies. I don't think there's another
I think you have to.
Creator who's close enough of a parallel. Like, I'll think of people, I'm like, well, I'll see a movie where I'm like, oh, this is kind of like a Wes Anderson, but it's just not even close, actually. Like, if you actually think about it, like, only he could make this, and I don't know if he can make anything else. So I'm fine with that because it's a good one trick pony. He's expanded a little bit, like you said. Grand Budapest is different and bigger. He's done the stop motion. This one also feel like maybe this is his version of trying new things. Is like French Dispatch with the 3 stories, and this with the story and the story. Like this is just as close as he can get to trying new things, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think it's more about the art than it is about the story, so I'm all right.
Oh, there it is. I was almost gonna leave the line out. It was actually very similar to that, and it was the whole thing. Yeah, so they're out of character. It's Jason Schwartzman, I think Adrian Brody, or maybe it's Adrian Brody or Edward Norton. I don't remember if it's the playwright or the director. But Jason Schwartzman says, I still don't understand the play. This is in the middle of the 3rd act. I still don't understand the play. He says, doesn't matter. Just keep telling the story.
Right.
And I told that to Nicole when I got home, and she went, oh my God, rolled her eyes. I thank God I didn't have to see that.
Yeah, I noticed that she's absent from this podcast. So
yeah, she'll be on something else. But yeah, that really sums up my feelings. At times I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't really literally like. I understand what's going on, but I'm like, I don't really get the point. And then I'm like, just okay. I do just want them to keep talking, though. I do just want to keep seeing scenes. I do want to see them do the little name game over and over. We haven't talked about the kids at all. I do want to see them do that name game over and over because they're geniuses. And I do want to see the random romances and quirky humor, selling land and my tent burnt down and dare me to eat this hot pepper. It's all still very charming to me. And this one had more hits than misses than the last one.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we have any other points we missed? Any other major plot? I mean, how does this even end? I don't even like. I remember like it feels. I remember like it's kind of going crazy all of a sudden because the alien returns. He has a scene with Margot Robbie for a second because Margot Robbie plays like the wife that got cut out of the thing. Like he would have been the deceased wife. So her only scene is like, oh, I'm doing another play now across the street.
Right.
And
yeah, that seemed. It worked though. Like even though it was weird. I think I was okay it's because they needed to get out of that chaos scene. Like I was thinking about it story wise, and like it almost feels like he was writing the asteroid part, and then like the alien came, and he's kind of like, "I'm done with the story. What happens now?" Right? He gets out. I don't understand. And that's what he says. I still don't understand the story. Or I don't understand the plot. Just keep telling the story. Then he has like a mini heart to heart with Margot. And then the conclusion, like the epilogue, is what him and his family leave Asteroid City after everyone. Like he wakes up late, everyone else is gone already. Right. They bury the mom.
They bury the mom. I think Midge leaves Augie her address, so kind of a
they
question mark future
now. Yep.
And then they leave, and Augie's going to be. Cadillac. Yeah, he decided not to leave. At one point, he was like, I was thinking about leaving you guys, but, I decided to stay. And then the son's like, well, I forgive you for thinking about leaving us. Like, classic Wes Anderson lines, just matter of
Again,
fact.
There's no real story.
No. And they're not, no one doesn't tell a story like Wes Anderson. Do you recommend Asteroid City, Mama Kay?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I think this is probably an uptick in his filmmaking again, so that's good news. But it's also not going to have the huge, wide audience appeal. So, limited people I would recommend it to.
Oh yeah, this is no new converts at all. Like if you
no one's going to be like, oh, I want to see all this stuff now.
If you've seen any two Wes Anderson films and you disliked both. I'm trying to think I guess if it was only the stop motion ones, maybe. If you've seen any two live action Wes Anderson movies and you disliked both, you will not like this. And if you've seen any two and you liked them, you will probably like this. So
right.
I think it's about that simple. It's not his worst live action. It's not his best. It's very squarely in the middle of the pack for me, which I will take because middle of the pack from one of my favorite directors is quality. So
it's okay. Yeah.
It's good enough. 2 good enough recommends for Asteroid City. Keep going, Wes. We still believe in you. Coming up.
Still watch.
I will. I don't know if I'll. If it's in a theater and it's convenient, I'll see it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
we've got more stuff coming up. A couple streaming, I believe. We're mostly caught up on theater. We've skipped a lot of there's been a lot of big, dumb blockbuster stuff that we've been kind of bouncing away from. So we're just going to keep doing the things that we actually want to talk about. So if you have anything to recommend to us, Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost, and you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Thanks for being on for Asteroid City, Mama K.
It was good enough.
It was good enough. Until next time, this is Brennan signing off saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.